Hello and welcome to Treasure in Every Verse. I'm your host, author and Bible teacher, Kevin Madison. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, friends, we're back and we're getting back into our study on does God really choose some people for heaven and then choose others for hell? Friends, I know that this is a very tough topic for most people. And the reason that is because you think like a human and you don't read the scriptures from God's perspective. Why do I say that? Because God has a plan. And it's clearly laid out in scripture. It starts way back in Genesis, and he literally explains the whole thing in the first three chapters. He gives types of Christ, types and shadows using Adam and Eve, using creation. It's everywhere in the book. So last time we stopped right here and we were showing certain things. We were showing first how the angels are elect, that the fall of Satan and the 1/3 angels that fell with him, folks, it was planned. It did not catch God by surprise. It was done and planned for before he created anything. Creation starts the time of the fullness of time that gives God essentially his entire plan to be act out first with the angels, then with humans, and then at the end gathering witnesses out of this current world, bringing them into a new world so that he can reveal all of his attributes. And we're going to get down to that as we get into this word. Okay, so the last time we were here, I want you to notice something. Who can know God? That's the question. All right, who can know God? So when we look at this, only those who God, he calls and elect. And you see these words, friends. I'm telling you, it's in the book in the New Testament. I don't know how many times, but I would say hundreds. Look at this in Second Thessalonians chapter 2. We read this last time, so I'm not going to stop and explain it, but I'm going to read it to you because I want to show you something else. But we are bound to give thanks. Paul is commanded. Every believer is commanded to do what? Give thanks to God. And we're going to always do that. But let me show you something. Look at this. Every single believer is unholy. Hold up. Every single believer is falling. Mhm. However, every single believer is redeemed. He's adopted. Do I ever stop being unholy and fallen? Only your nature. But now you are adopted. Okay? So what does the adoption do? The adoption brings you into the family of God, and throughout all eternity, what are you going to be praising God for? For the redemption. If you go in the book of Revelation and just read what the believers are saying in that book, you'll clearly see that what they continue to say, even when they're in heaven, even when they're shining with the brightness of the glory that they receive as a gift from Christ, they still talk about being redeemed. If it's ever forgotten, friend, then why in the world are they bringing it up? Now, what they don't remember is all the activity that happens. This is their sins, the activity. This was their nature, our nature. Okay? And we were adopted out of that mess because the price was paid. That's the price. Now, listen to this. Always for you, brethren. Why? Because you are beloved by God. Why is that? Because now he starts to explain what he wrote in the first part of this verse. Listen to him explain it. Because God did something. When did you do this, God? I did it before creation. What did you do, God? I made a choice. Who made a choice? God made a choice. Did you make a choice? No, you didn't make a choice. You wasn't there. This is before creation. God made a choice. Made a choice of what? We are bound to give thanks to God for you. He chose you. And he chose you before you were ever created. That's the exact same thing that Paul wrote to the church at Rome. Let's go look at it. Over here in Romans chapter 9, look at what he says right here. And not only this, but when Rebekah also have conceived by one man, even our father Isaac. Now listen closely. For the children not yet being born. Okay, so what happened before these children were born? Because they were not born, they had no ability to do anything good in God's eyes, nor did they do any evil in God's eyes. So God was not choosing one over the other because one was behaving and one was misbehaving. That the purpose of God, according to what? Election. That it and it alone governs what God does. They were twins, friends. They had the same father. They had the same mother. They were conceived at the exact same time. But God said, even before that, I made a choice. What did you? It's not of him who do something, but of him, God, who calls. And because he called, he says, I love one and I hated the other. Now let's go back. See, before they were born, let's go back and look at the other passage now. Let's do a comparison.